Hello and thanks for joining us on the news at 10 on NTA 24. I am Mina Daniels. The headlines. Edo State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal dismisses petitions challenging victory of Monday Obebulu as governor. As Bashir Ojulari takes over as Group CEO of NMPC Limited, correspondent looks at expectations in the oil and gas sector. National Orientation Agency presents solutions to increasing cases of fuel tanker accidents.
Be more vigilant, about this nature of drivers. Conduct drug tests, on them.
The Edo State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal has dismissed petitions challenging the victory of Monday Obebulu as governor. The three-man tribunal headed by Justice Wilfred Bochi gave the order in Abuja. Judiciary correspondent Dele Atumbi reports.
21 days after the Independent National Electoral Commission declared the result of the Edo State governorship, the tribunal received 3 petitions. The petitioners are Action Alliance and its candidate, Accord Party and its candidate, the People's Democratic Party and its candidate. All the petitioners were challenging the victory of Senator Monday Obebulu in the governorship election conducted on September 21, 2024. The petition of the Action Alliance contained pre-election matters which robbed the tribunal of jurisdiction. The tribunal therefore dismissed the petition.
The tribunal has given its reasoning. Our clients have shown that they are not satisfied, so we'll wait for further instructions.
The Accord Party alleged electoral malpractices during the conduct of the election, but failed in its burden of proof. The tribunal was left with no other option than to dismiss the petition. The tribunal equally dismissed the petition of the People's Democratic Party for lacking in merit.
The judiciary has once again demonstrated its capacity to deliver justice.
With the dismissal of the 3 petitions, the tribunal affirmed the election of Monday Obebulu as the governor of Edo State. With this verdict, the Edo State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal legally has now become functions official. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
As the Sahel State Alliance slams a 0.5% tariff on ECOWAS goods, economic experts in Nigeria are of the view that this is the time for the country to shift gears in reducing its dependence on imports. Benny Adams reports on the country's bold move to boost local production and counter the trade tariffs.
In the heart of West Africa, a union once strong and united began to fray. Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso were integral parts of this union. However, as time passed, tensions began to simmer, leading to sanctions on Mali, following a military coup in the country. Niger and Burkina Faso, sympathetic to Mali's plight, soon found themselves at odds with the rest of the bloc. After the withdrawal from ECOWAS came the birth of Alliance of Sahel States, and in a bold retaliatory measure, the 3 countries have just imposed a 0.5% import levy on ECOWAS countries. The levy is expected to increase cost of Nigerian businesses exporting goods to Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso, potentially making their products less competitive in the regional market. This could lead to a decline in trade volumes, affecting the livelihoods of people dependent on cross-border commerce.
I have something you need, you have something I need. If you're going to be putting tariffs or conditions of what you need or what I need from you, I am going to be putting equal tariffs or more tariffs on what you need from me, depending on what's more strategic. So if you don't have anything to bring to the table, then you can't have a seat at that table. That's what it is.
I don't think it's going to have any significant impact on, trade. Come to think of it, what is even the size of the trade that we do? What's the volume of trade that we do with these economies? I don't think it's substantial to the point where Nigeria, should should really worry.
Experts say Nigerian businesses accustomed to exporting goods to the Sahel region would need to adapt quickly to remain competitive. This may involve renegotiating contracts, absorbing the additional cost, or exploring alternative markets.
We need also to take a national policy, a very strong policy. A lot of countries have it. Grow what you eat, wear what you make, drive what you produce. Okay, so anything that is not Nigerian, not vis-a-vis valorization.
As the situation continues to unfold, the path forward will require careful diplomacy, a commitment to regional cooperation, and a willingness to address the underlying issues that have driven these nations apart. In Abuja, Benny Adams, NTA News.
In line with industry practice, Nigeria's National Petroleum Company, the NNPCL, has undergone its first major turnaround maintenance, repositioning it for the challenges ahead. The restreaming is to be driven by a new management and board headed by Bashir Bayo Ojulari as GCEL and Amadu Musa Kida as chairman, just as Mele Kolokiare and his entire team take a bow and step aside. Lydia Sampson on standby takes us through this new process.
Before the Petroleum Industry Act of 2021, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation operated as a state-owned entity established in 1977. It managed oil exploration, production and partnerships with foreign firms. Despite its dominance, inefficiency and opacity plagued its operations, prompting reforms to transform it into NNPC Limited. Mele Kyari was appointed in July 2019 by President Muhammadu Buhari as Group Managing Director of the then Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. Kyari's tenure was marked by significant reforms, including the restructuring of NNPC into a limited liability company under the Petroleum Industry Act. Energy for tomorrow. Energy for tomorrow. November 27, 2023, President Tinubu also reappointed Mele Kyari as NNPC Limited Group Chief Executive Officer. During his leadership, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited successfully restarted the Port Harcourt and Warri refineries, which had been dormant for decades. The Port Harcourt refinery resumed operations after 30 years, while Warri is now running at 60% capacity. These achievements have bolstered Nigeria's energy security and positioned the country as a formidable hub in Africa. Despite these achievements, Kyari's tenure has not perfectly translated to overall success in navigating challenges or escaped scrutiny or criticism in recent months. As Kyari steps down, expectations are high for the new leadership to surpass his legacy by addressing ongoing challenges such as transparency and accountability within the organization and industry. His successors, the newly appointed Group Chief Executive Officer Bayo Ojulari and Board Chairman Amadu Musa Kida, are each bringing unique strengths to their role. The new board will face the task of navigating challenges while maintaining NNPC's growth trajectory. Last year, NNPC reported $17 billion in new investment within the sector. The federal government now envisages increasing the investment to $30 billion by 2027 and $60 billion by 2030. President Tinubu's administration also targets raising oil production to 2 million barrels per day by 2027 and 3 million barrels per day by 2030. Concurrently, government wants gas production jacked up to 8 billion standard cubic feet per day by 2027 and 10 billion cubic feet by 2030. To this effect, President Bola Tinubu expects the new board to elevate NNPC's share of crude oil refining output to 200,000 barrels by 2027 and 500,000 barrels by 2030. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
And the World Bank has approved 3 operations in Nigeria, totaling $1.08 billion in concessional financing to enhance quality of education, build household and community resilience, as well as improve nutrition for underserved groups. This includes $500 million in additional financing for the Nigerian Community Action Plan for Resilience and Economic Stimulus (NG Cares) program, $800 million for accelerating nutrition results in Nigeria, RN 2.0, and $500 million for Help for Quality Basic Education for All, Help Edu. Statement by the bank says the NG Cares program will support the government in expanding access to livelihood support, food security services, and grants for poor and vulnerable households and communities. The financing for RN aims to increase the utilization of quality and cost-effective nutrition services for pregnant women and lactating mothers, adolescent girls, and children under 5 in select areas, while the new financing for Help Edu will focus on improving foundational learning, access to basic education, and strengthening education systems in the participating states. Nigeria's pension assets under management grew by 17% year-on-year in January 2025. Details with Alika Okpanachi-Arawa on Business News.
Recent data released from the National Pension Commission, PENCOM, shows that the total pension assets under management of the regulated pension industry increased by 2% month-on-month basis and 17% year-on-year basis to 22.9 trillion naira in January 2025. Specifically, pension holdings in domestic equities, which were the primary driver of the month-on-month gain, increased by 164.5 billion naira. Meanwhile, recent digital payment study reports revealed that cyber fraud remained a significant concern, with 96% of digital payment users at risk of falling victim to threats such as data breaches and phishing attacks. The study found out that 94% of Nigerian consumers utilize e-commerce payment methods, highlighting the widespread integration of digital transactions in daily life. The study also revealed that Nigerian consumers are becoming increasingly vigilant about securing the digital transactions as the country moves towards greater adoption of digital payments. Let's take a look at Wednesday tradings on the floor of the exchange. With business news, Alika Okpanachi-Arawa.
The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration in Control, NAFDAC, has reopened the Bridgehead Drug Market in Onitsha following a month-long closure for sanitation and regulatory enforcement. The markets, including Obogu and 3 adjoining markets, were shut down to address lapses in medicine distribution practices. In a statement signed by the Director General, Professor Mojishola Adeyeye, says to prevent a recurrence of the issues that led to the closure, the agency implemented strict administrative conditions for reopening shop owners. Shop owners were required to complete documentation and clearance procedures before their shops could be unsealed. Professor Mojishola Adeyeye emphasizes that the market has now been reopened, with all shop owners directed through their union to obtain and sign an undertaking, along with a penalty for past violations of distribution regulations. Only shops that meet these conditions will be allowed to resume operations. She says the agency remains committed to ensuring that all drug distribution channels comply with safety and regulatory standards, while appreciating the cooperation of the market leadership and the Anambra State government in facilitating this crucial intervention. This is the news at 10 on NTA News 24. We have more stories after the break. Please stay. Thanks for joining us again. The National Orientation Agency, NOA, says campaign against fuel scoping is yielding positive results as it takes feedback to government and other stakeholders for immediate action. Kenneth Nanim reports that the agency is urging relevant authorities to prioritize the concerns being raised.
Incidents of overturned articulated vehicles, especially tankers loaded with petroleum products, were frequently being experienced in parts of the country. When this happens, some citizens, out of ignorance or greed, throw caution to the wind, are moving to scoop the product or to loot the goods, as the case may be. Unfortunately, the overturned petrol tankers usually get exploded, most times causing loss of lives and property. As worrisome as the situation was becoming, President Bola Tinubu gave the National Orientation Agency a fresh mandate for an intensive reorientation campaign. Having been in the field to ensure the message gets to the target audience, National Orientation Agency now has feedback.
The nature of the roads, what have we done with this feedback? We're sending it back to Ministry of Works. So we're saying prioritize these type of areas. Do you understand? So that the challenge of bad roads leading to tankers toppling over will be significantly reduced.
The need to urgently establish tanker farms across the country is one of the needs the agency is pointing to that must be met.
Make those tank parks conducive. We have also found out that in some states where those are provided, the necessary facilities are not in place, and then the place is not even large enough to accommodate the number of tankers that transit through that place and must need a place to park overnight, and all of that.
Drugs and other substance abuse amongst drivers of articulated vehicles, the agency also pointed to as a challenge that must be put on constant check.
Which means that NDLEA, in its checking that it does along the road, should be more vigilant, about this nature of drivers, conduct drug tests, on them.
Part of the findings also reveal that some citizens are yet to understand that these petroleum products that spill or other goods that are being wasted are other citizens' investments that should be protected. They should show empathy and concern instead of going to loot, scoop, or pack the product as if they are free for all. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
And speaking of empathy, in another demonstration of kindness and empathy to Nigerians in order to cushion the effects of the economic realities, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu donates over 1,500 cartons of assorted food items to the Muslims in the FCT through the Abuja National Mosque. Abdullahi Ajia reports that this is another phase in a series of kind-hearted donations by the first family.
Having taken delivery of the items, coming as a philanthropic gesture by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for onward distribution to targeted beneficiaries, the Distribution Committee of the Abuja National Mosque, in its usual coordination and transparent manner, instituted procedural means to manage the crowd and ensure every individual gets what is due for them. As much as overwhelming the crowd was, the access card validates access to the items. In an orderly fashion, one after another, individuals smiled home with their package, praying for Mr. President to succeed in his efforts to improve the socio-economic well-being of the country. In Abuja, Abdullahi Ajia, NTA News.
Wife of the Vice President, Nana Kashim Shatima, has appealed to Nigerians to support President Tinubu's gender-friendly policies for the overall development of the country. She made the call in Maiduguri, Borno State, when she hosted women, youth groups and other stakeholders to celebrate this year's Eid al-Fitr. State House correspondent Abdulrahman Jabrila reports.
Groups of women and youth cutting across all sectors here to celebrate with the wife of the Vice President, Nana Shatima.
It's a privilege for us and we really appreciate
the Vice President was at the State House where he launched the Nigerian Youth Academy.
We, the people of Borno State, are solely 100% behind Your Excellency.
It is not a political, you can see here that it's not only a political gathering, it's people from all aspects of life.
Words of appreciation from representatives of groups pledging their support to the renewed hope agenda for a greater Nigeria.
We are so proud of her. Look at what she's doing now. Despite her tight schedule, she's squeezed time to come and wine and dine with us. What else do we expect from a mother?
Nana Shetima urged the stakeholders to support the renewed hope agenda of the Tinubu government, which has created several platforms to address the diverse challenges and opportunities confronting young Nigerians, part of which focuses on empowering women to start and grow their businesses and access financial services.
Whatever it is, our aim is just to leave a good legacy, to be honest. Ours is just to build the future for the yet unborn generations. And these are the main cardinal agenda of the current President, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The national cake that people are saying, that cake is already finished. So, and he's the only one that is trying to bake that cake for us that are alive here and for our great-grandchildren that are yet to come to start eating that cake. But I can tell you that, to be honest, we all mean well, not only to Borno people, but to the entire nation.
Other stakeholders at the event commended the wife of the Vice President for always coming to the aid of the needy. From Maiduguri, Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
And that concludes the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Thanks for your company. I am Mina Daniels.